If you've been following along throughout hurricane season, you probably saw that Colorado State University, or CSU, has posted its latest hurricane outlook. If your first thought was, wait, it didn't change, you're exactly right. So let's break down what this update means, why the forecast has stayed the same, what El Nino has to do with it, and why we're still approaching the busiest part of the hurricane season, also known as the peak of hurricane season. But first, what changed? Well, the answer simply is nothing. Colorado State University continues to forecast 9 named storms, including Bertha as well as Arthur that we've already had, 4 hurricanes, and 1 major hurricane. Those numbers are well below the long-term average of about 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. According to CSU's latest outlook, it says that the overall atmospheric pattern still supports a quieter than average Atlantic hurricane season. So why exactly did the forecast not change? First of all, forecast updates aren't designed to change every time they're issued. They're designed to incorporate the newest observations. Think of it like checking your GPS while driving. Sometimes your arrival time changes and sometimes it stays exactly the same because of the expected route. And that's exactly the same scenario here. Since Colorado State University's latest update, there hasn't been enough change in the overall atmosphere to justify raising or lowering those numbers. The biggest reason, obviously we all know by now due to social media and what we've been talking about all season long, El Nino. El Nino is still in place and remains the dominant influence on this year's hurricane season. But overall, because of the complexity of this topic, it is often misunderstood. El Nino actually begins in the tropical Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic Ocean. Every few years, water near the equator in the Pacific becomes much warmer than normal. That warm water ends up changing where thunderstorms develop across the Pacific. And one of the biggest driving influences from that pattern is actually the jet stream. Now, the jet stream also can be a little bit of a finicky topic. We as meteorologists use it all the time, but not everybody understands what exactly it does. During El Nino, all that extra heat and thunderstorm activity over the Pacific strengthens and often shifts the jet stream across the southern United States. And as that stronger jet stream stretches across the country, it also creates stronger winds high above the Atlantic Ocean. That stronger upper level winds increase what's called the vertical wind shear, which is simply a change in wind speed and direction as you go up with height. Now imagine trying to stack building blocks while somebody is blowing air along the side of it. That's essentially what stronger wind shear does to developing tropical systems. Hurricanes like to grow in an atmosphere where winds are fairly similar from the surface all the way to the upper atmosphere. When winds suddenly change direction or speed with height, thunderstorms get tilted apart before they can organize into a hurricane. Now, it doesn't make hurricanes impossible, it simply makes them much harder to develop or even strengthen. But if El Nino is helping us, why are meteorologists still talking about the peak of hurricane season? Well, the answer is simple. It's because hurricane development is not driven by one ingredient. Ingredients become favorable as we move deeper into the months of August as well as September, which is when the peak of hurricane season is. The Atlantic oceans continue warming throughout the summer, and the atmosphere usually becomes more humid. Large tropical waves begin moving off of Africa more frequently. Because of all that, those ingredients and scenarios make August, September, and early October more active. And in fact, the climatological peak of hurricane season is September 10th. Historically, that's when ocean temperatures, atmospheric moisture, and tropical wave activity all come together more often. So even during a below average season, the odds of seeing tropical development are increasing simply because of where we are on the calendar. Now, does a quieter season mean we're safe? Absolutely not. Seasonal forecasts tell us how many storms may form across the entire Atlantic basin. They do not tell us where these storms will go or how strong they will become. A season with only one hurricane can still become a devastating season if that one hurricane makes landfall where you live. History has shown that some of the most memorable hurricane seasons for individual communities were actually fairly quiet overall. And that is why, as meteorologists, we always say it only takes one storm. Now, the leading question is, why does Colorado State University often update us with outlooks, but NOAA doesn't do it as frequently? Colorado State University is a research institution. Their hurricane forecast is part of an ongoing scientific project that has been running since the 1980s. As new data comes in throughout the season, they regularly reevaluate the atmosphere and update their forecast several times before and during hurricane season. NOAA, on the other hand, is the federal government's official forecasting agency. Their seasonal outlook is intended to provide broad national guidance rather than frequent revisions. They typically issue an initial outlook before hurricane season begins and one official update around the middle of the season if atmospheric conditions have changed enough to warrant one. So in other words, CSU acts more like an ongoing research forecast, and NOAA provides the official government outlook. Now, both use sophisticated science and computer models, but they serve slightly different purposes. Since we're still in hurricane season, it's still the perfect time to review your hurricane plan, check your emergency kits, and stay weather aware as we head towards the climatological peak of hurricane season.